so that we can archive this space. So thank you everyone for just being here in community with us today and for allowing us to record our session. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome into the Black African Diaspora Family Welcome on behalf of Parent Family Weekend at San Jose State. We send you greetings on behalf of the BLOC, also known as the Black Leadership and Opportunity Center. And we're so excited to have you today with us. And Armani and I are just gonna do some quick introductions so you can get an idea about who's in the room joining us today, because we have a couple folks that would love to give you greetings and share more about who they are and what we do. And I'll start with myself. My name is Emerald Green. Pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm serving as the program director for the BLOC. Welcome. We are so excited again to have you all with us, and thank you for joining us today. And I'm gonna kick it over to Armani.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Armani Donahue. I'm the current program coordinator of the BLOC. Emerald and I are both alumni, so we're both bringing a wealth of knowledge to the space. And yeah, it's been a great experience so far, and I'll go ahead and kick it over to Patrick. Thank you for coming and joining us today.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Patrick Day. I serve as the Vice President for Student Affairs. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time in days when it all seems like it's flowing together. So thank you for taking the time out to be here and be with this team who is specifically here to support you in your student's journey.
And next, we want to make sure that we introduce Dr. Travis Boyce.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Travis Boyce. I am the department chair and associate professor in the African American Studies department. I've been here since July 1st, and I look forward to many years of good times and productivity here at San Jose State University, and welcome.
We thank you both for being here and supporting our Black students, our Black Spartans. We definitely, Armani and I can't do this work alone. And so for those of you who are here today joining us, it's very important that we have these two Black men here as our leaders, right? Making sure that they hold space with us today. And so if you have any questions or ideas, please, for any of the folks that are in the room leading today, or just giving you a welcome, feel free to put those thoughts and ideas in the chat for us so that we can respond to you. And before Patrick, you leave, we just really want to see if you can make space to just share a little bit about your hope for Parent and Family Weekend, specific to Black students, to Black Spartans and their family. Any words of wisdom or advice that you can provide at this time would be great.
Of course, I'm happy to do that. And you know, this has been a really wonderful program that the staff have put together and that the faculty have joined in. And the hope is that this will create connection. That's the reason that we have programs like this, is not just to do something, but really to create connection, to have an opportunity for people to know other people, to get to know other parents, to get closer to people who work at the institution, to get questions answered, and to really be able to walk in community. This is a different kind of time. And so to talk here as we might have talked 2 years ago, it doesn't seem appropriate. This is a different kind of time in so many different ways. It's a different type of time relative to what we are all experiencing and trying to move through in terms of this pandemic. And that has very different meaning depending upon your family, depending on where you live. And so we recognize that this is not an easy time or a predictable time or a time where you necessarily know what tomorrow holds. So it's that much more important that we try to be in community, that we try to learn from one another, that we try to understand the things that we need to understand so that we can move forward. It's a time where lots of questions are being called and asked, and we're trying to make sure that that we are walking even better as an institution. And as challenging as this time is, what I would say to you as parents, if you look at the team that we have in our BLOC Center in terms of Emerald Green and Armani Donahue, if you look at Dr. Boyce, who has recently joined the institution, and what is happening in the African American Studies department, and not just in that department, but working across all of our students, it's actually a pretty powerful time that is brewing. It's exciting to see it, to see the groundswell for our students, and our students who are actually quite incredible. They have really been tremendous. And so for us, as we start to lay out strategies for change and moving forward that are with some pretty significant goals, you're seeing some of the people who are really at the base of that change, and really going to be making sure that you and your students have the kind of support in the place that they need in order to be successful. There's so many things happening across multiple departments as it relates to Black students coming out of our CAPS, our counseling and psychological services unit, working specifically to support Black students around mental health. So many things that are being recalibrated relative to recruitment so we can increase the number of students, which is not an easy thing in the state of California and in the California State University specifically. There's lots of reasons that's challenging, but we're beginning to deploy additional resources in different ways to try and increase those numbers. And then certainly the work that Emerald and Armani are doing, I just cannot say enough about it. It's absolutely tremendous. They are building out a BLOC center that is a daily presence in the lives of students, even in the virtual spaces. And I'm sure they will share with you the amount of programming that is happening out of there is some days it's the same, but oftentimes it's even more programming that's happening out of the center in the virtual space versus where we are right now. So this is a time that I would say to you as parents, as you work with your students, this is a time to get them to lean into what is happening, to lean into the opportunities that are in front of them. Not only are pretty incredible things in terms of support happening at the institution, but also, this is a time where if your student is thinking about the future, and some of you were on last night, internships are still happening. The kinds of things that are about preparing your student for a life after SJSU, which is a part of this process, those things are still going on, and we don't want your student to miss out on those things because this is different, this is strange, this is awkward, can't just walk into someone's office. All that being true in some respects, we want them to reach out in the virtual spaces. We want them to get connected, and we want them to take advantage of opportunities not only to learn, but also to prepare for what's next. This is not a time to relax. And that can seem very strange when you're sitting there looking at your screen for hours and hours and hours. This is absolutely a time to take advantage so that you and your student particularly doesn't wake up when we get to the other side of this and they haven't done some of the things that they could have done. They haven't taken advantage of some of the opportunities. I want to make sure that you're encouraging your student to stay connected. If nothing else, stay connected to the BLOC. If nothing else, take advantage of a really incredibly robust African American Studies department that is growing and hiring new faculty and really doing incredible things. And what I'd say, and I've said this in multiple meetings, before you graduate, make sure that you take advantage of the curriculum coming out of that department. Take at least one class. It was a robust part of my collegiate experience, changed my life. And as a part of the journey to getting to know more about oneself, there are few things better than you can do than to take coursework inside of an African American Studies department. And ours, we have a historic department and one that we want you to take advantage of. So Dr. Boyce, I won't say anymore. I know you've got a whole speech, a whole thing to give them, but I want to really encourage people to take advantage of the BLOC, take advantage of African American Studies, because these resources are not everywhere. They are not, and they're certainly not of this quality everywhere. Let me say finally to parents, we're still learning. So this is, there's lots of ups and downs and back and forwards and starts and stops. We are learning through this process. So just like you, it hasn't been a linear process where we just know someone says this is going to happen and it just stays that way for months at a time. Things are changing. I reminded parents on the call last night that for the County of Santa Clara, and we have to follow the guidelines of the Santa Clara County Health Department. Things have changed. They've been very different in our county than in lots of other counties. And to remind parents also, this is still the 10th largest city in the country. And so the dynamics are oftentimes different from perhaps where you live, the county that you live in, And so the things that the university has to respond to really doesn't have a choice about may look a little bit different. So we are moving with the county, and I encourage you, if you're sort of wondering, well, what's next, what's happening, please take a look at our resources on the SJSU website with regard to how the institution is planning. Take a look at the Santa Clara County Health Department, and you will be looking at the same things that we're looking at. I want to say, first of all, thank you for your patience as we have learned and we continue to evolve. And I'm just going to ask your continued patience as we go along and are working very hard to try and make sure that first and foremost, this experience is physically safe for our students. We also want to make sure that it's psychologically safe for our students. And we are learning how to do that, and we're getting better each day. And as we prepare for the fall, which in all likelihood will have more students on the campus, whether it's living on the campus, taking face-to-face classes, we are preparing not just during the week, but I spend lots of weekends trying to plan out what we're going to do, how many students we can have with us, and how can we do that in the safest ways possible. So thank you for being here. Again, time is a precious resource always, but certainly in these moments. But thank you for being here. Thank you for being parents at San Jose State University. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for that message, and just really wanting to center community today, right? Armani and I are here to build with you all and get to know who's in the room. And so I'm gonna invite you all to take part in a poll with us so we can learn a little bit more about you all. And so first question we have for you, go ahead and complete that. Let us know where you're coming from, right? Are you coming from Northern California, Southern California? Are you a parent and family that's out of state and you're repping a home state that's outside of California? We definitely want to know. If you're an international parent and family, we send you greetings. And we definitely want to know a little bit more about where you're from. And so I see the numbers are coming in. We got about a couple folks who've not yet voted. So go ahead and submit your poll to let us know where you're coming from. Even if you're a presenter, go ahead and feel free to complete that. It's almost 50-50 right now. So what I'm gonna do, as I see the numbers coming in, we're gonna go ahead and end the poll. And just so you all can see, right, we have 50% folks from Northern California. So if you are from Northern California, if you don't mind putting in where your hometown is, let us know where you're coming from. I'm originally from Oakland, California. Armani, I believe you're from Stockton, California, correct? Okay, she put it in the chat, yes, so she's repping Stockton. Where else are folks coming from in Northern California? We'd love to know. And if you're coming from SoCal, where are you coming from? How far? Are you in the Inland Empire? Are you closer to Northern California? Are you way out near San Diego? Where are you? We want to know. Go ahead and drop us in the chat. So shout out where you're coming from. Orange County, okay. Definitely know where that is. Welcome, welcome. Los Angeles, okay. So it's almost 50-50 in the room. Not surprising. Welcome in, everyone. Contra Costa County, definitely. Greetings to you all. I know where that is. I spent a great amount of time serving, doing community service in the Contra Costa area. We're gonna launch another poll. We wanna know, are there any first-generation college students in the room with us today? I identify as a first-generation college student that tremendously changed the course of my undergraduate experience. It continues to change how I view the work that I do, how I show up as an educator, as a practitioner in student affairs, and definitely is a part of the experience that many of our Black students hold at San Jose State. And so we just want to acknowledge in the room, who else holds that identity? Awesome, Lisa. Great to see that lineage of you being first generation and knowing that you have children that are second generation. So let's see where our numbers are in the room. Okay, we have about 67% of us that are not first generation. That's okay. Armani, I see you also a first gen. Wow, that's amazing. You and I hold so many similarities, and I'm happy to serve here with you. And so you all can see who's in the room and who is identifying as first generation college student. So many resources on campus for students. at that intersection. And so definitely wanting to continue to encourage parent and families to make sure that their students are being empowered, right, with that first generation identity. It's definitely not a deficit, right? It's an opportunity to thrive. And so really in our Blackness, wanting to hold that truth. Many of us, I think, do not think about that with intentionality as we're navigating the spaces. But first generation is a really, really important experience, as much as being a Spartan alumni. And so we also want to know if there's any Spartan alums in the space. Go ahead and send us that vote so we can see who else is in the room. Armani and I are both proud Black Spartans. We have about 12 years experience across the both of us. And definitely it's a proud moment to be service of her. Okay, Armani, it looks like you and I may be the Black Spartans in this space. If you are not a Black Spartan, please share in the chat. Where did you receive your education? Where did your family receive their education? If that's something you're willing to share, shout out your campus. Okay, UCLA's in the house. Definitely welcome. Anybody else would love to share where they are? Thank you for joining us. All right. Ohio University is in the house, definitely. We got an HBCU alum. Shout out to Dr. Boyce, Cal alum. Well, we thank you for joining us, Black Spartans, here today. Armani and I are going to get a little bit more into who we are as a Block. So Armani, if you want to go ahead and transition to the next slide, really just sharing more about our mission and how we do the work to serve Black students here at San Jose State University. So the Black Leadership and Opportunity Center is really a space to uplift and empower and develop all students that identify with the African diaspora. It is our hope that through that intentionality of centering identity and cultural awareness, that we are building and strengthening our bonds together and really enhancing and encouraging a positive Black Spartan identity here at San Jose State. And we do that centered around the framework Ubuntu, really centering the thoughts of I am because you are. So we exist, right, not as a monolith, not as a one-size-fit-all community, but really as a learning, growing community that's embedded in cultural richness, and that we exist simultaneously together, but we hold multiple identities. So definitely needing our space to honor and hold all of us. And Armani and I are thoughtful in moving forward with intention in our programs and our services and in the physical space, right? As we can re-enter that space safely, really trying to understand and develop ways that our students are seeing themselves in all aspects of their Blackness.
Alrighty. So our one of our main goals is to make sure that our Black Spartans feel a sense of home whenever they are in maybe our personal space or our virtual space. So we're trying to make sure that we're connecting all the Black efforts around campus, such as pulling in the African American Studies Department, pulling in the Black Scholars Floor, and pulling in any other efforts that are related to Black student success and just personal building of themselves while they're a Black Spartan. We're also wanting to make sure that we're creating a village and our network of support for our students. So knowing who our people are within different departments and just knowing all the resources and the opportunities around campus so we can make sure that we're plugging our students in with the right information and connecting them with the right people to help them solve whatever problems that they have, or even just creating more of a home, once again, on campus. And I already mentioned the home-like feeling. So we just want to make sure that regardless of what it looks like when they might be in their classroom, whatever it might look like while they're in Santa Clara County or even in San Jose, that they know when they come to our center, whenever they're coming to receive our programs, that it feels like a holistic Black experience, and just acknowledging and honoring who they are as individuals, regardless of what it may feel like once they step out of the room.
And creating a Black Spartan identity is so important because we see ourselves as the premier institution for Black students. And I say that with intention and humility. And Armani and I are working on crafting the Black first year experience to really center folks in collaboration with the AFAM department on what it means to transition in this day and time, right? Post-pandemic into a space that historically has not always shown up for you or centered your identity. And so here are some of the ways that we hope to amplify that Black Spartan identity. So we're hoping to continue to re-envision our new Black Spartan Institute, again, a space for us to transition in our first year incoming Black transfers in Frosh. We just finished Black History Month, so happy Black History Month to all of you, and anyone that was able to make any of our programming this spring. But it really, again, is another opportunity to recenter Black history, Black excellence. There's so much vibrant Black history at San Jose State specifically, and just giving our students space and airtime to learn a little bit more about that heritage that's right on campus that they may not know exists, right? So definitely spaces and opportunities to thrive and celebrate. We have annual celebration and cultural community welcomes that we host in the fall semester, again, really to ground and enhance that Spartan experience. And then opportunities where Armani and I are being thoughtful about engaging students, prospective students before they get here. So that may look like high school students, that may look like welcoming middle school students, oftentimes serving folks that are not yet committed to San Jose State, but we're hoping that once they come in community with the Block, that they're way more ready to confirm their Spartan identity than maybe before, and then really centering what it means to be a scholar. And there's some ways that we're working on that. But one of the ways we're partnering with housing is to really build a network and a community of Black folks that can fellowship and that can live and grow and learn in a space together. And so that's a really important opportunity that we'll share a little bit later.
Alrighty. So some of the ways that we're making sure that our students are academically and professionally preparing themselves are some different opportunities that we've created and partnered with our campus partners to create those experiences. So for instance, we have our study abroad program, something that we're trying to do, or quarantine got in the way of us actually officially getting our New Orleans trip together. It was going to be a faculty-led partnership with the Department of African American Studies, going to New Orleans to learn the culture and just really understand how that community functions and how we can add to the community through community service. So hopefully a semester coming to you soon is that's something that we'll hope to be able to do. We also have a mentoring program. We have two actually. One of them is centered around making sure that the faculty and professionals in the area are providing a network of support for our Black students to understand the professional nuances, or just becoming a Black Spartan, or just becoming a Black professional within the Bay Area or beyond. Just creating a network of support for them to really understand and learn and create professional experiences and relationships with people. The Black Alliance of Mentorship is related to the new Black Spartans that are coming in. So our first year students, such as our first-time freshmen, or our transfer students, they receive a mentor when they come in, and they have opportunities to connect with the larger community, which we call BAM is the name of this program. So they have opportunities to connect with the full BAM program, or just within their specific cohorts themselves. The Black Spartan Retreat is something that we've been doing for quite a while, not necessarily as the center, but this is something that we've picked up and brought with us from the task force days. So I feel like the retreat's been happening for maybe like 5 or 6 years or something at this point. So we're trying to continue to create those experiences for our students to develop as leaders, as well as have a say in what we want the next year to look like. What do they want programming wise? What do they want to see with all of the different things of their Black Spartan identity, and just co-creating that experience together at that retreat. And lastly, this is one of our partnered events that we do, is the Student and Faculty or Advisor Dinner. We had a virtual version last week, I believe, just to bring the faculty together and making sure that students are creating those experiences outside of office hours, and just being able to be academically prepared and having just different conversations that are going to gear towards their academic success, career success, and beyond. So those are some of the programs that we have here, and there we go.
And, can't stress enough, just Patrick mentioning, encouraging students that you all are supporting to really tap into their network. We often say, who's your village, right? Who's on your roster? So making students be thinking really intentionally about who is their support network and at different levels, how are they proactively using them? And this may also be in and outside of the family space, but on campus, having them also think about who are my support networks and where do I go when I am in need of academic support, mental health, and holistic support, when I'm in need of internship opportunities, or just really centering on who I want to be, what am I passionate about, and how does my degree attainment speak to maybe post-graduation experiences that I'm really excited to have or interested in having, and then how do I get support along the way, in and outside of my first year, and meeting with an academic advisor regularly to really map out my journey as a Black Spartan. And so these are some of the resources that are the BLOC, we as staff regularly will host in space. Now this has definitely looked different virtually, but many of these campus partners are holding space for students to really think about, what does it need to look like for them to be successful from their perspective, especially now during this time of pandemic. That's really important. And like Armani mentioned, we as Black faculty and staff are really trying to wrap around our students to really think about how do we connect our scholars to our aspiring scholars, and how do we get our Black faculty to talk more about their research and why they do what they do and how they've come across the journey in terms of thriving in academia as a Black person. Those spaces are really important for our students to create positively healthy, affirming relationships with faculty. And so this spring, we're launching 3 of those opportunities in partnership with the faculty member, just to make sure that our students in this virtual time are thinking about research, thinking about themselves as scholars, and then really just centering opportunities for our students to connect with Black alumni. And we have a vast majority of ways that we do that, some through career panels in partnership with the Career Center, also with presentations from nonprofits or corporate organizations that are seeking Black educators, Black students in STEM. So making sure that our students have a landscape with making those connections in the Silicon Valley area. And then also with our Black alumni network, also called Bain, they have just reinvigorated themselves. And so we have some partnership opportunities in the works, looking forward, thinking into next fall about how we can better strengthen the relationships between our alumni and our current students. So definitely a lot of resources and opportunities for students to get connected if they already aren't as continuing students, and then also to be thinking about what they may need as they're planning to exit the institution upon graduation.
All right, and just as the Black Leadership and Opportunity Center, we can't leave without talking about the different leadership experiences that students can attain while they're at San Jose State. So these are all of the Black student organizations that are registered at this time. So we have our cultural Black organizations, such as Black Student Union, which is usually the organization that a lot of students will know about coming to college. Maybe they had it in high school and they're continuing on with that experience now. Habesha, which is our East African Population Student Association. Nigerians, we have the Black Alliance of Scientists and Engineers. So those are our STEM students that have a specific cohort model within their organization. We have Black Honor Society, which also focuses on the advancement of education within that side, Black Women, Black Male Collective, and our fraternities and sororities as well. So there's a lot to choose from. And we really can't talk about student leadership without even talking about our peer success ambassadors. So these are some of our students that we work with. They all have different roles within the space: academic initiatives, community relationships, engaging with the academic side of things as well, and just a lot of other liaisons that we have within the community, such as Peer Connections. We have 2 mentors that we've been working with to really engage our Black Alliance of Mentorship program, and just making sure that we're staying on top of all our different things in different ways. So Emerald, I don't know if you want to speak to this one a little bit more as well.
Yeah, just can't reiterate enough that Armani and I don't do the work alone. We definitely need our campus partners and definitely need support specifically from our peer student and success ambassadors. I think what's important for you all to know as parents and families is if you have a student that's seeking community and really wants to give back in a very deep and intentional way to Black students, we definitely encourage them to consider working with the BLOC. Not only are we developing students, right, and develop our students as student leaders first and foremost, centering Blackness, we also know that that is a servant learning opportunity, right, for them to give back to students that look like them while they're also being served by the space. And so we hope that you all will keep us in mind. There's, of course, a tremendous opportunities for students to serve on campus and a multitude of student leadership opportunities, but this one hits home. And so we definitely want to make sure that folks know to always keep us in mind if you have a student that's seeking community or seeking professional development, to keep us in mind. All right, and in the virtual landscape, Armani and I just want to share with you some of the ways that we've been engaging as an office students in terms of building community or making sure that they're connected to faculty, making sure that they're connected to their own identity and or right, receiving that mentorship opportunity that they need. All of these I think are essential opportunities to either be a part of or to get connected to if students aren't already connected. Oftentimes students don't know they want a mentor, but sometimes the peer mentor aspect is way much more than mentoring, because it's having an on the ground person to really center your thoughts and your experiences with that can directly give you feedback from a place of deeply knowing. And I often say our wisdom is ancestral. And so most of the spaces that you see virtually, that is exactly what's happening. Students and faculty are bringing their perspective that is ancestral. It's tied to our DNA, and we're sitting and we're grounding in community building just to share our stories, right? And to share our hopes and our passions, but also to inform us on what else do we need and desire as Black people, as Black humans. And so our students are, right, engaging in conversations about financial freedom. Armani is holding space about what radical self-care looks like for our women open forum spaces. And so it's just really an important time right now during a pandemic to really recenter who we are, what we need, and what's important to us. And so we want to just make sure that we tell you a little bit about what we've been doing virtually.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. So the next couple of slides will have information about what exactly some of our programs have looked like in the past, but this is really what we've been doing and participating with this semester virtually. So there we go. In the past, as I already mentioned before, we had the student and faculty dinner and student advisor dinner. So those are some other things. We also used to have late nights at the center, which was an opportunity for our students to come together and really just chill. We would have games, we would have food, we would have music or movies or maybe a podcast in the back. So likely when we get back to those in-person landscape, this is something that we can look forward to again. And just really coming together on Tuesday nights, having another homecoming ball and partnering with BSU, as well as the Harambe dinner, which was a cultural dinner that we came together and we talked about some different impactful Black things. We would bring in some cultural dancers, and just have an opportunity to eat Pan-African cuisine across the diaspora. Was there anything events-wise that you wanted to bring up, Emerald, as well?
No, I think, I would like to say just be on the lookout for more programming from us, definitely, and know that much of what we do is collaborative. And so we're seeking constant feedback from our student leaders and our campus partners on how we can make this more intersectional for our students. Armani and I just want to pause for a little bit because we want to help amplify the Black Scholars Floor community that we have on campus. And it's really important right now as parents and families for you all to know that this floor exists specifically because it's a direct opportunity for students to live and learn together and to be in a space that is centering Blackness. And oftentimes it's really hard to find on a college campus. And so we know that the BLOC exists. And outside of that, our students are existing and experiencing the campus culture and the campus community and other living and learning spaces. And so if you have a student that's continuing, that's not in their first year, we definitely, encourage you all to have them think about what it might mean to continue or to maybe join a community like this, where they wake up and they go to sleep seeing folks that look like them. They're grounded in academic and mentoring opportunities and programs on the floor, and just really get to experience a Pan-African opportunity that is essential, I think, to college success. And so that floor is located in Joe West Hall, 11th floor. We just want to encourage that folks consider applying in April when those housing applications open up. We do anticipate, right, that the living learning experiences will look different fall 21 as campus is reconfiguring itself and making sure that we're going to be safe, but definitely needing folks to know that this space exists. And the BLOC has a direct connection, the African American Studies Department. We're all intending to have a direct intentional connection to this space to help amplify and build community on the floor. And so just wanted to show some community goals, wanting to show and articulate what expectations are going to be required to maintain access to the floor. And so if you're an incoming student, we definitely want you to be at our new Black Spartan Institute. And those are the dates that we're planning for fall 21. And then there's going to be some direct connections to what Dr. Boyce and his team are doing in the AFM department, again, really to ground a year-long academic opportunity for students to know their heritage, to learn about history that's directly connected to them, and then to really think about who they are within that context. And so we just can't leave this space with you all without sharing more about how to get connected. So there's a link at the bottom if you have any students that might be interested. Again, this floor does exist, and we definitely need to continue to make sure that it thrives. And at this time, we're going to pass it off to Dr. Boyce to share a little bit more about the work that him and then faculty are doing to help students really connect to their heritage. Dr. Boyce.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Green, and thank you, Ms. Donahue. First of all, I'm thrilled to be here at San Jose State University. This is my 8th month here. And just a quick story, that's okay. And just a quick story, I was on campus approximately a year ago, March 9th and March 10th, where I had my own campus interview. So I had an opportunity to see the campus right before the pandemic hit and they shut down the campus. And I intentionally applied to San Jose State University as a chair of African American Studies because of the rich history. We have one of the oldest Black studies programs in the country. We're 52 years old. The Black Studies was founded in the Bay Area. The first Black Studies program that was established in the United States was at San Francisco State University. So there is a rich, vibrant history. And also, I'm particularly inspired by the legacies of John Carlos and Tommy Smith. And so I really hope, the university is making waves of continuing to honor the legacies of those two great men. Those were the gentlemen that stood on the platform in 1968 Olympics. So that's just my story and why I'm here, and I'm excited to be here. So let's move on to the next slide. So this is what, oftentimes students tell me, I try to recruit students to the major. And even at my previous job in Northern Colorado in Africana Studies, like, what can I do with an African American Studies degree? And I want to allude back to Mr. Day, who indicated that, a student should walk away and once they cross the stage, they should have taken at least one African American Studies class. I would encourage students to at least minor in African American Studies before they graduate from SJSU. Now, I want to tell you just a quick story about a young woman by the name of Jessica Bain. And she was applying for a position at Spotify a couple years ago, and they were looking for a Black History and Cultural Fellow. And it was just her cultural and content competence in Black studies, Black history, Black culture that allowed her to get that position. And to this day, she is thriving at Spotify. So this is an aspect of why Black Studies matters. And again, I understand for students, it's about finding a job, but believe me, we will prepare you to be competitive on the job market in this current climate. Next slide. So again, what can you do? Oftentimes, again, you can do a variety of things. You can be an attorney or a first lady of the United States. You can be, well, and this is my biased opinion, Angela Bassett should have won an Oscar for a role as Tina Turner. So you can be an actress. You can be a cartoonist. You can be an astronaut. You can be a college professor that writes contemporary scholarship that's relevant towards the present day. All these folks have in common was at some point in their undergraduate career, they either taken the class, majored in African American studies, or minored in African American studies. And so I encourage students to understand, African American studies is a broad interdisciplinary look at the Black experience in the United States, as well as in the diaspora. And it can be studied from various lenses. It could be from a historical lens. It could be from a pop culture. It can be from the STEM perspective. So this is why these are some of the career connections that one can make in African American studies. And later in my presentation, I'll talk about what we're doing moving forward as a department. So our department, and again, I appreciate Mr. Day for the motivation and for the introduction in terms of the growth of our department. This is a very exciting time to be in African American studies, studying African American studies. Unfortunately, a year ago, we saw the rejuvenation of the Black Lives Matter movement due to the death of George Floyd. We saw companies, we saw aspects of the local, state, and federal government now paying close attention to the importance of Black lives. And in the field of higher education, universities are making a commitment to maintaining and ensuring that Black studies, African American studies are thriving in this third decade of the 21st century. I'm pleased to present a couple of new faculty we have this year. Dr. Jalila Burrell, you can see under the full-time faculty. She joined us this academic year, and as well as Dr. Michael Fisher joined us this year. He's on leave, but he will be here in the fall. Both faculty members, Dr. Burrell got her degree from Yale University, Dr. Fisher from Vanderbilt University. Dr. Burrell looks at hip hop, aesthetics, Black women's studies. Dr. Fisher looks specifically at issues of theories of race, critical race theory, Blacks and religion, among other things. So we are growing as a department, and there may be opportunities for future faculty hires. So I just wanted to show the faculty first, but also we offer a Bachelor's of Arts, a traditional liberal arts degree in African American studies, as well as 3 tracks of a minor, which is African American studies, Black women's studies, and African studies. Now, in terms of moving ahead, we have many courses in our catalog, and I apologize, I can't put it all on the slide. That will just make folks dizzy if I put it all on the slide, but we do offer a variety of courses that cover history, popular culture, broad, basic introductory classes like our 2A and 2B, humanities and African American culture, among other things. With new faculty, and this is why it's important for universities to invest into Black studies departments, is that you're bringing in a new generation of scholars who are looking at contemporary issues that are relevant in the present day. So for an example, beginning this fall semester, we are adding a class called Race, Sport, Activism, and Social Movements to the roster. That will be offered this fall. I just submitted the fall schedule. So it's there, it's going to be offered. So I encourage students to take this class. Also, we will offer the aesthetics of hip hop. That will be taught by Dr. Jalila Burrell. We are moving a special topics class to Black Lives in the NBA Matter in the NBA movement. I'm sorry, at Black Lives Matter in the NBA to the spring semester. But ideally, we do have these interesting, we do have a space under AFAM 185 where we can offer special topics courses. And so we're going to offer theories of race down the road. And potentially this fall, we will offer a class about the Great Black Migration, the Black Great Migration. So again, I encourage folks to take our classes, but more importantly, I encourage students to step up and sign up for a minor at least. We would love to have you for a major, but if you can't do that, we will welcome you as a minor in African American Studies. And next slide. So moving ahead, and again, I think it's important as a department chair to keep my thumb on what's new, what's being innovative and progressive with our curriculum. And so right now, and what we will be pushing this spring is creating an African American Studies and Social Science Credential Masters of Arts and Teaching program. And that's a 4+1 program. So a student can come to San Jose State University as a first-year student and sign up for this program. If all goes well, by their 5th year, they will have a master's degree on top of their bachelor's degree, and they will be credentialed to teach at the K-12 level. So I would encourage our students who are interested in teaching, becoming professional teachers, but also interested in getting an additional credential, because I mean, having that teaching degree can put you in a position where you are employable, not only in the state of California, but throughout the 50 states as well. So it gives you the ability to be mobile. Also, we're looking at a traditional Masters of Arts program in African American Studies as well. And again, I emphasize that, you know, as a chair, I'm interested in being innovative, progressive, and opportunistic, and having our students in mind as they navigate their undergraduate careers, but also if they're feeling ambitious, they can stay for a year and get a master's degree on top of their bachelor's degree. So again, I'm excited to be here in California. I always wanted to live in California. I was born and raised in South Carolina, so it feels nice to naturally progress to the West Coast. And I look forward to working with the BLOC. Again, thank you, Ms. Green, Ms. Donahue, and yeah, let's do it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Boyce. Armani and I couldn't have told that story in more better way than the work that you're doing to intentionally create some special courses, right, that are really unique to what's happening right now in terms of activism, athletics, and identity work. And so thank you for existing in the work. Thank you to your colleagues for existing in the work. Thank you to you and Patrick for joining Armani and I here today, just as we are celebrating and centering our Black students and our Black parent and families. We know that we are not a monolith and that we don't always exist in the way that media and history has depicted us to be. And so it's really important that we continue to center ourselves and tell our stories and encourage our students to seek spaces that see them as whole and that can also provide some background, historical context to more validate and affirm who they are in their greatness and in their Blackness. And so thank you for holding space with us today. Armani and I really just want to open up the floor. We know we have a few folks here. If you have any questions for ourselves or for Dr. Boyce about anything that you heard today, we definitely want to just pause and see how we can help support or speak to maybe some more direct needs or questions that you all have as you're supporting students. So we're just going to take a moment, and if you feel compelled to come off mute, please do so, or to place a comment in the chat. This is the time to do so.
I've been trying to get my daughter, she's a freshman, she just started on campus this semester, trying to get her to go and, check out the Black community offerings at SJSU, because a good friend said that the community was really great, but trying to talk to an 18, now 19-year-old girl and trying to get her to do something is like pulling teeth. And so I'm like, I almost, when I have to go pick her up to bring her back home, for the summer, to just march her over there and say, okay, look, I need you to be a part of this community because it's so important. I wish, as a first generation student, I was first gen, I knew basically nothing. I was just happy I got into college, and I was just trying, and I worked 3 jobs, and I was just trying to graduate. And I didn't understand the importance of making those connections. Trying to get her to understand the importance, but it's kind of like, it's like, oh, it's just mom talking to me. So I'm going to tell her to reach out. I got your contact information, and her name is Toddy Henderson. And if you guys can pull her in, I'd appreciate it. I know it's like, I got to let go. I'm a mom, but I just want her to, I loved my college experience. However, I didn't take advantage of all the opportunities and I wish I would have. And I just want her to take advantage of these opportunities, especially, quite honestly, I went to UCLA and I still work at UCLA. However, I'm not really happy with the amount of African-American students that we have. And I also see that SJSU did not have a large African-American community. And so I need her to be a part of that community. So when she comes out, she starts advocating also for other African-American students and seeing how great, your campus is, because I've heard it's a great campus for African-American students. Mm-hmm. So
yes,
I just want to see if you guys, I might email you. However, I just need somebody to bring her in because I'm not there. If I was there, I would take her over I really would. I'm maybe too much of but I just know the importance of trying to get into the African-American community in higher education.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, first, Queen, thank you so much for putting your voice into this space. Hello, greetings. We really appreciate hearing your truth, right, as a parent. And I can hear the deep care and concern you have for wanting to make sure that your child is connected. I can say, as an alum, Armani and I are both products of involvement in Black spaces. So we know how important and vital it is. And please feel free to email us directly if you want to chat us, your private chat us your daughter's name. Armani and I are happy to connect, because what it really comes down to in our community is that intrusive mentoring, the wraparounds, the I see you, I know your parent, right? Your parent reached out, mm-hmm. and there's ways that we can subtly do that, and just have her know that we respect her autonomy, but we also want her to be connected, find community, and so this is a prime time. You're in the right place, and I know for a fact that if we do that, we're happy to help share with you along the way as you need us to, how we can continue to support her. But this is a time, right, where students need to be connected. They need to find their village. They need to find their support networks. And if Armani and I can be a part of that journey with students, that's all we ask for. And I'm sure Dr. Boyce and Patrick share the same sentiments, that we want our Black students to be connected. We know how important it is to their retention. And we also know how scary and sometimes unaffirming some of the spaces can be in a new space when you're a new student and you're 18 or 19. It's not always easy to build those connections, but we hope that our environments are inclusive and they're welcoming enough where our students want, right, to seek those opportunities and spaces. So please feel free to encourage her. We hope that she's already accessing our newsletter that comes out every Tuesday, where we're constantly showcasing and amplifying ways that students can join either student org spaces or block programming, but also think about the professional development and maybe other spaces or events that might speak to them. And so there's always an opportunity, even in small, large ways. It just takes, putting themselves out there. And so if she isn't already connected to our mentoring program, we're also really excited and willing to share that information with her. I'll have Armani speak a little bit more to that, but that's a direct way that we can help keep a post on her involvement, or just make sure that she's getting information from a peer about what's happening on campus. So definitely thank you for being in the space again and for sharing a little bit more about your hopes for your student. We share similar desires, so please stay connected to us. Armani, anything you want to add or speak to?
Yes, so I'll go ahead and mention the BAM mentorship program. So that's something like, if you do go ahead and give us her name, I know you said it, but if you would type it for us in the chat, that would be ideal, so we can find a way to reach out. But yeah, she can definitely be assigned a mentor and be into this deeper cohort model of intrusive mentoring, and making sure that, like, some of the things that you mentioned with us, that we're following up and making sure that she gets support that she needs. But one of the series of events that I can definitely make sure that she's aware of is the Black Women's Forum, which is happening and starting next week from the 11th through the 18th. Not every single day, but those are when all of the programs and events are happening. So this is a chance to really just take her self-care to the next level. And I received your message, so thank you for that. So yeah, it'll be a great opportunity to connect with other Black women on campus. Faculty and staff are also going to be joining the space if they have the time. So it'll be a great opportunity to just really get connected with the Black women on campus and learn from the different techniques and ways for us to get deeper with our self-care, be it breathing, be it journaling, or just different opportunities to just be reminded. And I know, Travis, you came off of mute a bit ago, so I want to make sure I give you space. But Miss Lisa, if that didn't answer your question, please let us know.
No, that's great, because if we were actually in person, she would definitely be, I would definitely take her with me and, and introduce her to everybody, but virtually I can't. I think she's mad at me right now because whatever. So thank you so much. But I sent the information and she will. And I even said, I think you should minor in African American studies because she's a business entrepreneur. But like I said, it's like coming from mom. It's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to take 30 seconds just to emphasize, and thank you, Ms. Henderson, for sharing that, because I think it's important that, aside from being a good student and just trying to be the perfect 4.0 student or making the best grades, an important element, the most important element of a student's college experiences are those connections, because that's the connections, the experiences is what gets a student that appointment to that particular job after they graduate or admitted to graduate school. So it's that component I think is important. And I think just on a very interesting story of why connections matter, if you're familiar with the group, the Commodores, led by Lionel Richie, they met as a group as students at Tuskegee Institute. So, those connections matter. If we want to look at the geopolitical, technological world, it was the Mark Zuckerbergs who connected with some buddies in a dorm room at Harvard and created Facebook. So this is why these connections matter. Again, I want students to be the best student that they can be, but also have that social component, that professional connection component as well. That is the important piece to this experience as well. If we can help in any way, and as a department, please let me know too.
Definitely. Thank you, Dr. Boyce. It's the co-curricular experiences, those social engagements that really strengthen my connection as a Spartan, that really affirmed my ability to lean on folks for recommendation letters or to speak to my character as I wanted to apply for other spaces. And so continue to stay encouraged, continue to encourage your student. And this is for all the parents to get connected. We know that students will find us when they need us the most. And we're going to be here and ready whenever that time is for her, right? If it's not right now, if it's 6 months from now, if it's fall, if it's in her last year, we will be here. And so just know and feel rest assured that there will be a space And we know that every student has that journey for themselves, but definitely if you continue to reinforce that, because sometimes it is scary just putting yourself out there, especially in this virtual landscape. It's much more harder to fellowship and build community. That doesn't mean it's impossible, right? We're all doing it here right now, and just want to acknowledge in our Blackness how we have done that in multitude of ways just over this last year, doing that in ways I don't think a lot of us ever imagined doing. So we'll be here. We'll make sure that we reach out to her, and just wanting to say thank you again for sharing and her truth, sharing your truth. We know that, right, you being first gen is also a deeply rooted, connected to your story that you shared for your student. And so however we can support moving forward, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the BLOC. We also want to make space to see if anyone else has any questions or thoughts that they'd like to share with us before we close out and tell you more about how you just can get connected to the BLOC and AFAM department. And Armani, I might ask you to put up that screen again, just so folks can have our contact info. Thank you, Wanda, for your comment in the chat. Also, glad to see that you had a great experience and had a warm welcome in move-in. That's really important too, right? Just making sure that there's a receiving Black community when your students are showing up to the campus. So thank you for sharing that as well. No problem, no problem, thank you. And just again, as folks are kind of considering if they have any questions, you can get connected to the AFAM department and to the BLOC by our Instagram and our social media accounts, our YouTube. Feel free to stay connected in this virtual time right now through social media, especially if you're not connected to any of our listservs. This is a surefire way to make sure that you're not missing any opportunities or upcoming events that are, or initiatives that are coming out of our spaces. We're here to serve students, right? And that means that we're also here to serve you. And so if there's, again, ways that as a parent or family that you can lean on us to do the work better, we're committed to doing that. And so please, no question should go unasked, right? And especially during this time, please definitely tap in and let us know how we can better serve you and your student. So thank you again. Armani and Dr. Boyce, if you have any closing remarks, please go ahead and share those.
Thank you for coming. I hope this presentation was valuable for all of you. At this time, I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat for the feedback, or should we just email it?
Go ahead and put the link in the chat and then we'll also email it. Thanks, Armani.
Cool.
All right, well, we hope you all have a wonderful weekend, a safe and healthy Saturday. Definitely stay encouraged and continue to encourage your students to get connected to the resources that are here to serve them. So thank you and happy Parent and Family Weekend.